Have you discovered Folsom and El Dorado Hills, but you're trying to figure out what's really different between those two communities and how to figure out which one's right for your family? Well, in this video, I'm going to help you answer that question. When it comes to trying to nail down what community is right for you, especially in El Dorado County, I will ask you a bunch of qualifying questions when we hop on the phone together. Things like, do you want to be above snow line or below snow line? And how far are you willing to drive to get to the highway or a hospital or the grocery store? Or pine trees or oak trees, Beatles or Rolling Stones, window or aisle seat, the important stuff. When it comes to choosing between Folsom and El Dorado Hills, the two communities are so similar that you have to go even deeper to determine which one is right for you. So in this video, I'm going to run you through 7 criteria that you can use to evaluate these two communities and decide which one's right for your family. So let's get stuck right into deciding between Folsom and El Dorado Hills. So right off the bat, where are these two communities? They're both on Highway 50 and they're both right at the base of the foothills. Folsom is technically right at the edge of the Central Valley, the easternmost edge of Sacramento County. And El Dorado Hills is the first community into El Dorado County just as you start going uphill. So there's essentially no travel time distance between the two. And they both have very similar layouts and similar vibes, but not exactly the same. Speaking of the vibes or the community feel, that is our first criteria for determining which community is best for your family. Now, the two are very similar, like I said, but there is quite a big difference in the population. There's just far more people in Folsom, 35,000 or more people. And with them building 11,000 new units south of 50 at Folsom Ranch, there's going to be even more people in Folsom. There is, of course, new development in El Dorado Hills, but it's going to be limited and there's always going to be less people in El Dorado Hills than Folsom. So in general, Folsom is going to feel a little more fast-paced, a little more crowded, and a little more people around you at all times. The houses are also built on smaller lots in general, so things feel tighter in the neighborhood as well. There's going to be a lot more street lights and a lot more light pollution just from businesses, so it's going to feel a lot more suburban and a lot less rural. By contrast, El Dorado Hills, with 35,000 less people, is going to have a little more room and a little more air around you. It's going to be less crowded, less trafficky. The homes in general are on larger lots, and the further you get out from the subdivisions, you can actually get into older homes and older neighborhoods with big views of the skies. So when it comes to vibe or general community feel, I would say that El Dorado Hills, being the beginning of El Dorado County, starts to have that El Dorado County more slow pace of life, laid back vibe. So if you're the go-getter, go all day long, want to be around lots of people, Folsom is absolutely your jam. If you want a little more space around you, a little slower pace of life, and a little less people in your face at all times, then El Dorado Hills might be the right place for you. So our second criteria when determining which community is right for you is home prices. Now, traditionally, these two communities, Folsom and El Dorado Hills, have been fairly close together in terms of home prices. But in the last few years, El Dorado Hills has been pulling away in terms of higher home prices. Now, there are some significant reasons for this, and they mostly come down to the choices that the builders are making. In El Dorado Hills, the builders have been building more custom and semi-custom homes on larger lots with views. And the builders in Folsom have been building more tract houses in subdivisions on smaller lots, which they can bring in at a more reasonable price point. Now, so as not to seem wildly out of touch with what's reasonable here, I understand these are both very expensive communities. Folsom is only reasonable prices in relation to El Dorado Hills. When compared to the median home prices in the greater Sacramento area, both these communities are towards the upper end. So let's go through the numbers. El Dorado Hills is coming in at a median home price of $935,000, so nearly $1 million median home price. Bottom of the market around $550,000 in the last 6 months for sold properties, and top of the market around $3.25 million. By contrast, Folsom is coming in at a median home price of $735,000, with a bottom of the market around $450,000 and the top of the market for solds in the last 6 months around $2.75 million. So by contrast to El Dorado Hills, Folsom has much more affordable homes. Now, when comparing both these communities to the greater Sacramento area, which has a median home price of $550,000, you can see these are higher priced communities. But the communities carry the beautiful homes and the amenities to justify that price. But it's going to come down to your budget, which community is going to be best for you. Our third criteria to evaluate these two communities versus each other, and really when I'm looking at any community, is lifestyle. What's it like to really live there. Now, these places do live very similar, but they do have some differences. Like I said before, Folsom has more people and is going to be a little faster paced and a little more crowded, and El Dorado Hills is going to be a little slower paced, a little more laid back, and more room around you. Folsom, even though there's only a 5 to 10 minute drive between the two of them, feels just more in the heart of things. That one bump closer to downtown Sacramento and one bump closer to the Bay Area. It just feels a little more in the hustle and bustle. El Dorado Hills, being that one bump up the hills east towards Tahoe, just feels a little slower and a little more laid back. And again, with the home differences, Folsom being more tract houses and El Dorado Hills being more custom and semi-custom homes, the homes in El Dorado Hills tend to have a little more resort living vibe than do the homes in Folsom. Ironically though, one difference I've noticed over the years is that homes in El Dorado Hills have far less backyard pools than homes in Folsom. The El Dorado Hills people relying more on the community pools that are available to them in their subdivisions and at the community services district, and the people in Folsom having pools in their backyard. I think this is down to the hillier, rockier terrain driving up pool costs in El Dorado Hills. But either way, both these communities have great lifestyles with a lot of access to the outdoors. It's just going to come down to, do you want to be a little more in the thick of it, or do you want to be just one step removed? If by the end of this video you still aren't sure if Folsom or El Dorado Hills are right for you, then feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. I've been selling homes here for nearly 2 decades, and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land in El Dorado and Sacramento counties, and I'm always happy to help. Now, on with the criteria to decide which one's right for you, Folsom or El Dorado Hills. Criteria number 4 to determine whether El Dorado Hills or Folsom is best for you is going to be cost of living. Now, in general, the cost of living is going to be very similar. With El Dorado Hills being a little bit further out, you might have a little bit higher gas costs because you're going to be driving a little bit more. And of course, we've shown you the difference between the home prices, which is going to contribute to your mortgage costs and your cost of living. But beyond the home prices, the cost of living in El Dorado Hills is going to be higher due to the difference in electric service providers. In El Dorado Hills, you're going to be on PG&E for power, and PG&E is expensive power for the state of California. In Folsom, you're going to be on SMUD. Now, this is a huge benefit. It cannot be overstated. SMUD is nearly half the cost of PG&E for power. I should mention here too that these are both hot communities. They get hot in the summer. Triple digits are not unusual, which means you're going to be running the air conditioning. They also tend to be communities with larger home sizes. So you've got a big house that you need to cool down, and in El Dorado Hills, you're doing that at PG&E rates, and in Folsom, you're doing that in SMUD rates. The Folsom rates are going to be much cheaper, and so the cost of living for you in Folsom is going to be cheaper. Cheaper home prices, cheaper electric prices, those are 2 of the biggest line items on your budget. So if you're on a tighter budget, Folsom might be the better choice for your family. The 5th criteria for determining which of these communities is best for you is going to be recreation. Now, let me be clear, there are great recreational opportunities in both communities. In fact, Folsom's sign calls it the gateway to fun, and I agree, they have an amazing amount of recreation there. They have over 50 miles of Class 1 trails. These are walking, hiking, and biking trails, but they are mostly paved trails winding through neighborhoods. They also have 48 developed parks for kids to play in, but they are developed parks with play structures and the like. Now, El Dorado Hills also has paved trails and parks, but they have a greater access to wilderness than does Folsom. So this is going to come down to the way you like to recreate. If you want to come right out of the garage, hop on your bike and be on a paved trail and be zooming on your road bike right away instantly, Folsom is going to be the place for you. If you want to be able to come right out and hop on that trail with your stroller and walk to a local park with your kids, Folsom is going to be the place for you. Now, if you'd rather strap your mountain bike onto the car and drive a little ways and hop on a trail and be riding through the oak trees or riding down to the American River or to Folsom Lake, then El Dorado Hills is going to be more for you. If you like to go through hikes through the woods, then El Dorado Hills is going to be more for you. And if you want closer, quicker access to all of the adventures that the western slope of the Sierras have to offer going east up Highway 50, then El Dorado Hills is going to be for you. So when it comes down to recreation, they both have great recreation. They both have access to the lakes, but I would classify it this way. Folsom is more suburban, developed recreation, and El Dorado Hills is going to have more natural wilderness recreation. So again, this is going to come down to you and your family, which you prefer. If you've made it this far and you're getting anything at all out of this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video with crucial information to help you decide on where to land for your relocation. Criteria number 6 for determining which of these communities is best for you, and really any community in the state of California, comes down to hazard insurance for your home, and specifically for fire. Due to all the fires in the States over the last decade, the fire insurance situation in California has gotten really expensive. Now, some communities are more expensive than others. If you're in the Bay Area, you'll know that if you're on the island of Alameda, your insurance is going to be pretty cheap. And if you're in the Oakland Hills, it's going to be really expensive. We have a similar situation here. In Folsom, your hazard insurance for your home is going to be relatively inexpensive. Depending on the size of your home, maybe $1,500 to $3,000 a year annual premiums. El Dorado Hills, you are most likely starting around $5,000 to $6,000 a year annual premiums, and I've seen them as high as $15,000 to $19,000 annual premiums for homes in the high fire zone that are large, multi-million-dollar homes. Now, these are serious differences in the cost of fire insurance. And if you start to add this up, Folsom has cheaper homes, cheaper electric bills, and cheaper hazard insurance. El Dorado Hills has more expensive homes, higher electric bills, and higher hazard insurance. You can see how financially the two communities start to diverge. There's no doubting it, far and away, El Dorado Hills is going to be the more expensive place to live than Folsom. There are benefits to that we've gone over, but you have to decide which one's right for your family. Criteria number 7 to evaluate these two communities has got to be schools. Whenever I'm evaluating any community that I might move to with my family, schools are very important to me because I have 2 little kids, and I'm sure they're very important to you as well. And I won't bury the lead here. These two communities both have excellent schools. So on this criteria, it's pretty much a dead heat. But there are some slight nuances you should know about that might be important to your family. So across the board, both communities are going to have all the schools getting 8 out of 10 or better on greatschools.org. And the high schools, Oak Ridge High up in El Dorado Hills and Folsom High and Vista del Lago down in Folsom, are both going to be 9 to 10 out of 10 on greatschools.org. So everything is good there. But Folsom is going to have access to newer schools coming down the line through the developments in Folsom Ranch. Of course, you would have to then move into those developments to access those schools, but that is a potential, and there are far more new schools planned for Folsom than there are for El Dorado Hills. The Folsom Ranch development alone has planned a new high school, a new junior high, and 5 new elementary schools. So if that's an issue for you, if you're looking for brand new school communities for your kids and brand new school facilities for your kids, then Folsom might be the better choice for you. Now, the other slight nuances when it comes down to homeschool communities. For our homeschool parents, El Dorado County in general is very homeschool positive, very homeschool supportive. So in El Dorado Hills, you're going to have more homeschool opportunities and more homeschool pods to link up with for socializing for your kids than you might in Folsom. Not that it's not present in Folsom, it's just more prevalent and more supported in El Dorado Hills. So those are the 2 nuances. If you want more newer schools coming online, Folsom might be right for your family. If you're the type of family that wants to tap into homeschool or hybrid schooling programs, then El Dorado Hills might be a better choice for you. All right, that wraps up our discussion of El Dorado Hills versus Folsom, and I hope this has helped you decide which one's best for your family. You really can't go wrong. They're both gorgeous communities that you'll be happy to live in. But if you're still unsure and you want more information, then click this video right here on the pros and cons of living in El Dorado Hills. And if you want more information on Folsom, click this video right here on the pros and cons of living in Folsom. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.